All right, so good evening. Good evening to everybody. I want to say a big thank you for standing by to watch us every Thursday at 9 p.m. as we come your way with the men's lounge. So today is Global Hand Washing Day, and 15th October, obviously, every year it comes as the Global Hand Washing Day, and it's something. It's more like a promotion that is done to encourage all of us to realize the essence of making sure that we wash our hands regularly before. Even after when we touch anything, we need to be washing our hands. And indeed, 2020 has given us some reason to really want to consider washing our hands, even beyond 2020. Maybe I should just mention COVID-19. It's one of the things that has taught us that lesson. It's interesting how we have known about washing hands, since infancy. But for some reason, 2020 and Corona have taught us the fact that we need to take that aspect of our life very, very seriously. And so let's always remember to wash our hands with a soap, okay, and running water. It's part of the COVID protocols. And it's not just because of the COVID, but it's something that's very essential in our daily lives. So let me also remind you, I sometimes tell you about the webinar that goes on. So there's going to be the fourth one as part of the series that's been organized by GMA. So life has taken a new curve, and digitization has become an integral part of our lives. Global Media Alliance presents the webinar series dubbed The Influence of Digital Media on 2020 Presidential and Parliamentary Elections Amidst COVID-19. You understand the reason why this year you don't hear too much rallies, people converging at places to listen to politics and all that. It is because there's still COVID lurking around in the corner, and so we need to still continue adhering to the protocols. Be part of the conversation on Tuesday, 20th October 2020 with Dr. Kobe Mensah. He is a political marketing and senior lecturer at University of Ghana Business School. Maximus Ameto, digital expert, and as they share insights and ideas on the digital space for the election period. The webinar will be held via Zoom. I'm sure you already know what Zoom is. Zoom has been used for meetings and all, even events and all that, almost all through 2020, sake of COVID again. And so the webinar will be held via Zoom and also broadcast live on eTVGhana. Registration is free. Register now on www.gmaworld.com. For more details, contact 02022222096, 02022222096. Media partners are eTV Ghana, BNFT, Happy FM, and YFM. So there's a new program, okay, that's also going to be airing soon, and it's called the Fact Sheet. So healthy discourse on matters pertaining to national development help to build strong national institutions. Intense polarization, on the other hand, reduces discussions on national issues to just the perspective of a few. Instead of emotional outbursts over national issues, let's focus on the facts. Fact Sheet, a new current affairs show that seeks to delve deeper into the facts surrounding burning national issues, is coming soon on eTV Ghana. It's not a fact. If it's not a fact, it will not be discussed. Fact Sheet show coming soon on eTV Ghana, your world of quality entertainment. I would also want to encourage you to be part of this show already by sending us WhatsApp through 02022222054, and also join us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them at eTV Ghana. You can find it, and even now you can find us at eTV Ghana on Facebook, so that you can join us live on this show. What else can we do? Last week we discussed something that has to do with childlessness in marriage. We started, but we couldn't finish. There's more information that we need to put out there. And also, let me remind you that the Breast Cancer Awareness Month is still on. Remember the last words that the doctor told us last week: see, feel, touch. I'm going to go on my very first week. When I'm back, we'll delve straight into the discussion. Please stay with us. All right, so welcome once again to another exciting episode of the Men's Lounge. Indeed, every other time I tell you that whenever it's 9 o'clock on a Thursday, definitely I'm going to be in the lounge to expect two other or one more gentlemen to join us to have a discussion. Last week, we started a discussion that has to do with childlessness. I'm being very careful pronouncing this word, childlessness, all right, so childlessness. So we started a discussion on this, and we didn't go deeper. And it's indeed right that we continue, especially by the fact that a lot of people are requesting that we put in more light, we throw in more light on this discussion. With me in the studio today, I have a very familiar face who has been with us. I mean, since we started, he comes here quite often. He enjoys coming to the lounge. I don't know whether it's because of the Alomo or I don't know, but yeah, he comes to us all the time. Interestingly, he's a reverend. All right, so today I have with me Albright Asiome Bani Bento. He happens to be the Vice President, Ghana Psychological Association. Albright.
Hello.
Akwaba. Good to see you. How is the week?
It's going well.
Nice one.
So
and
far.
Nice. And also I have Dr. Johnny Ando Arthur. He happens to be a community psychologist, lecturer, psychology department, University of Ghana. I'm sure he was a vandal. I'll be asking him that question before he leaves here. I don't know. I suspect he was a vandal. Johnny Akwaba. You who are you?
Yo,
You be able.
I'm
a suspect is a vandal.
And well, actually, I was a Viking, but I spent my 2 years in the city.
You see, I guess right. So, folks, good to see you. Charlie, we're already in the political season, and it's getting hotter and hotter. Interestingly, it is not as it was 4 years ago, where people could gather and all in the name of our big boss, our current big boss who rules the world. COVID has taught us a lot, and that's the reason why a lot who would have to be digital and all that. Anyway, so last week we started a discussion on childlessness. I'm being very careful with this word. Can you pronounce it like twice on a row?
Childlessness.
Anyway, so we started this discussion last week, and I mean there was a lot of information. Unfortunately, time didn't give us enough words to put out there, and so we've had to continue with this, and hence the reason why I've had to call you to join me. One of the things we tried to discuss last week was how important children are in marriages. How important are children in marriages?
Yes, children are very important in marriages. In fact, when I was reading a few things in preparation for the program, I came across a 2017 published article that asked the question that are people here in vain if they do not have children? Are people on earth in vain if they do not have children? And about 82% of the people said yes. And that shows how important children are to people or are to marriages. So much that people can say if a person doesn't have children, then the person is wasting resources. That is not the best way to look at it, but that's how society makes people look at having children or not having them. Yes, children play a lot of role in marriages. There is another research that shows that married people who have children are less likely to divorce than those who do not have children. So children are also seen as security or a binding factor in a marriage. In fact, in the past, the more children you have, the more you are respected in the past, because you need them for labor, you need them for defense, you need them in the military to fight for you, to hold the fort for you. So that is how important people see children in the marriage. But as we go along, we will see that perhaps it is not that important all the time, but it is really important to a lot of people.
So from that I gather from what you're saying, should it then mean that children are important in ensuring a happy marriage?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. John, should children be the reason why a couple should be happy in the marriage?
Yeah, let me first greet your cherished viewers and also thank you for the opportunity given me. Yes, your question as to whether children should be the reason for a happy marriage, I would say no, because I would want to take it from the elementary level. I mean, marriage was created between a man and a woman, okay, and a lot of things, I mean, were added to make marriage so successful and all that. Children are a part
of the additions,
of the blessings that God gives, and therefore, if there are no children in the marriage, there are some other factors that should enable the marriage to be successful, to be fruitful, to grow. And so I wouldn't want to single out children as a factor that are at the core of a happy marriage. I wouldn't want to single it out. Yep.
So, in that regard, I'm very happy about the fact that there seems to be a bit of a difference in thought when it comes to whether we think children should be the essence or what makes marriages happy or worth living together. But let me find out this: how does this thing of childlessness affect affect men in marriages? How does it affect men in marriages? Albert?
Well, if we want to look at it comparatively, then we would say that it does not seem to affect men as much as it affects women, but it does affect men also. The reason why it doesn't really seem to affect men as it does women is the fundamental reason that it is not men that become pregnant.
There is no men that become pregnant,
yes.
but they contribute to the pregnancy.
They do. They do. But because it is women who carry the pregnancy, if a woman is not becoming pregnant, it is more obvious. So the man can walk around, he's not supposed to be pregnant, so nobody really ties it to having children or not. But the woman, they keep looking, is the tummy bulging? Is there anything coming up? So they can much more easily talk about a woman not having children.
But before you proceed, last week it was proven here that most of the reasons why there's childless marriages is, I mean, in the end you find out it's the men and not even the women.
Well, I agree to an extent. The research shows in Ghana here that it is 50%, 50-50.
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, the doctor did say that was 50-50.
Yes, yes. So the effect on men, yes, it has a lot of effect on men.
Okay.
It affects their ego. Because a man would want to be seen as a man. And for society, if you do not have children, they seem to see you less of a man. And that impacts the man so much. Also, there is the feeling of the lack of something. So the man feels inadequate.
Okay.
There is something else that needs to complete me. I don't have it. And although in this part of the world we seem to value the male child, yet whether you have a male child or a female child completes you as a person who has a child. So a man would look forward to having a child so that his name can be passed on to that child if he's not there.
Yeah.
So if there is none, they may seem to be doing well and not complaining, but in here, psychologically and emotionally, they feel there is something wrong. And of course, among men, when they are having their discussions, there are things they say and things they do that makes a man who doesn't have a child feel so bad. Because they may talk about their children, they may talk about what they are doing at home, where they visit with their children, and the man who doesn't have one will begin to feel...
So you just change the discussion.
It's not as easy as that.
Really? For me, I just think you should change the discussion. Guys, can we talk about something else and forget about this chow.
And that makes it worse because now you are telling them that it is getting at you.
No. It's just the discussion that we need to change. That's all. Anyway, so then there seem to be some effects there. But again, you see, I struggle to understand why, from the point of Johnny, for example, if it is from, I would like to take your view really on especially from the point you made about the fact that not entirely an essence when it comes to marriage from the explanation you gave. And so how would it affect in your case or in your thought, how then would it affect men in such a situation?
Sure. So let me take it from the scripture. I think Psalm 127 verse 3.
3 to 5.
Yes, says that children are a blessing or a gift from the Lord. In fact, I want people to just have very attention to that. Children are a gift or a blessing from the Lord. Not children are the blessings from the Lord. So, like I said, there are many blessings, God has just given us as married couple, and children are a part. And therefore, if there is no child, marriage goes on. But of course, we would always desire that the children come to complete it. So I think to pick it from where Reverend left off, we are living in a society that is pro-natalist. That is, we are always inclined towards, birth. We value that. We value procreation. And so marriage, procreation are intertwined. They are interlinked. And therefore, the assumption is that once you marry, it must be seen. But for us as men, society has its own prescriptions, expectations as to what defines you, right? You need to provide for your children, for your family. Okay, you need to, perform sexually to satisfy your wife. You need to produce, okay, out of the sexual satisfaction. So, for us, in a men's world, in quotes, children indexes, okay, our virility, our masculinity, our manness, as the Reverend said. And so, when there are no children, or when we don't have children, we appear to believe that society thinks we are less of men, okay? Or society itself also makes us feel that indeed you are inadequate by the way they relate with us. Yeah. And so they are critically important. Children are critically important, but they are not all that it is to marriage. And so I think along the line, I will share my personal experience. And it will probably help the discussion very well, because I have been there before.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's actually one of the reasons why I'm excited to have you today, because I know definitely I'll get some. I have this particular question I've been wanting to ask. I know today I'll get the answer from you. So all right. Yes. There's this thing that also I've been thinking. So it already appears that if the children in the marriage are essential to a certain limit, then their absence obviously would have some challenges on the marriage.
Sure.
What are some of these challenges that childlessness would have on the marriage, not on the man, but on the marriage as a whole?
Okay, when children are in the marriage, as Dr. Johnny Ando Arthur has said, when children are in the marriage, they bring an additional value to the marriage. We all begin by being single before we have children. So everyone has ever been childless. But then when you get married, you add somebody to your life. And then the expectation is that there will be fruits from the marriage. And when children come in, they make you become, in quotes, parents, because you have somebody to parent. Therefore, if there is no child in the marriage, you feel that you are not yet a parent. Now, what makes it worse is that you may need help around, and sometimes you may need to call or fall on other people's children to do certain things for you. If the help is not forthcoming, then you feel, oh, if we had our own children, we would have got this done much more quickly or easily. It becomes worse when you request need and people say things to it. Like, you are worrying us so much, you're sending our child around. Why wouldn't you have yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, when it comes to dealing with the in-laws or the extended family, when there are family gatherings and every couple in the family has come with husband, wife, and child or children, you will always come alone without your children. So this makes you not feel so good about your marriage. And when it comes to, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a religious thing, but I am tying it to maybe naming ceremonies, weddings in the church. Yes, you go for weddings, and in about a year's time, those who were married before they got married have their children, and here you are still without a child.
I'm sure psychologically you even begin to play on your thoughts.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes. And anytime there is an invitation for a naming ceremony, It's a reminder of your inadequacy.
I totally agree with you on that, Johnny.
Yeah,
what could be some of the effects?
Several factors, psychological factors, economic factors, and all that. I mean, depression is one key thing that you can see in people who have been yearning and nothing is coming. I mean, for some it is an utter shock because they go into marriage with an expectation that this must happen.
Yeah.
And so 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, it's not coming. And because they are so much, focused on wanting to have and it's not coming, sometimes it can even affect their sexual life.
Okay.
To the extent that they may no longer even have the desire to have the sex. In fact, some will even say, I'm just wasting my time doing it because when I do it, nothing comes out of it. So it affects marriage in that way. And again, psychologically, anxiety. Anxiety is also something that is key, for such people. And then we have anger. People sometimes can be angry at God. It can even affect their faith. So they may have faith crisis. Because the Lord has promised, so many things for me. Count it all joy. In fact, I'll supply all your needs. Children are a blessing from the Lord.
Need the children.
Exactly. All these scriptures are coming. Yet you are doing all the fasting, you are doing all the prayers, and nothing is coming. It can even lead to faith crisis. And that is where sometimes people even go to other people, I mean, just for the help. And so, economically, people will also spend a lot of money seeking the help.
Yeah.
And we're living in a society where, like I said, because we value children so much, it appears one of the most lucrative businesses in Ghana is to be dealing in fertility matters. You get money overnight. Because people want where the help can come from.
Yeah.
So we have pastors who are just exploiting the people, we have quack doctors who are. So people are spending a lot of money in there.
Yeah.
Okay, and that can also affect, the marriage. And the key thing is, one of the key stresses that come with all this, okay, is, like Pastor said, marrying with colleagues, cohorts of people at the same time, and they having naming ceremonies, and you're always attending. And sometimes the way your own people will even relate with you just because you don't have a child.
Yeah.
But Nana, we are living in a society where if you don't have a child, there are certain rules you cannot even assume. I mean, there are some societies in Ghana where without a child, you can't even be a chief. Let somebody come and say he's contesting for president in Ghana.
How many children does he have? Is he even married?
Exactly. So it creates a lot of issues for men and for marriage generally. And I guess because of the social reactions towards childlessness, it's more or less compound the psychological problems men are facing or childless couples are facing in their marriages.
That's quite interesting. There's so much to learn today. We are still discussing childlessness in marriage and the effects of it on the men and even the marriage itself. We're going to go on our very first break. We'll be back shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We are still in the men's lounge. If you're just joining us, we are discussing childlessness in marriages. And I have with me Albright, my only Reverend Albright, and then I also have Johnny, who happens to be a doctor and a psychologist as well and he's a lecturer also at the University of Ghana. So we left off discussing the effects, of childlessness on the marriage and the entire marriage. Now I want us to look at, you see, in all the deliveries so far, there's a mention of men, ego, society, men, ego, society. I'm sure you must have noticed that. And so, how can men overcome this societal pressure? Let's look at it from the perspective of the man, and then we'll look at it from the perspective of the couple. How do we overcome this societal pressure?
Okay, everything starts from the mind. So everything starts from the knowledge that you have. So if the man has the right knowledge, that man will be able to live in society and not be negatively impacted by what society thinks or wants him to think that would affect him. And all this begins from the premarital counseling. That is where the counseling psychologist helps the man to understand that you are going into a marriage. In fact, we treat this under the topic childbearing and child rearing or child raising.
Okay.
Okay. So the man knows that he is the head of the family, all right. And if you want to take it from the biblical angle, Genesis 2:24, which says that for this cause, a man will leave the father and mother and be joined to the wife, and the two shall become one flesh.
Yeah.
No child is mentioned here. What is important to God there is that you should join with your wife and become one.
And I'll give you gifts. I might be giving you some
Yes,
gifts.
so that makes you complete.
Okay.
So the man must know that what makes him complete is to love the wife fully. Whatever else comes out of that, that is fine, but the two of them are complete. The man should also know that childlessness is not always a permanent thing. Dr. Arthur touched on something, the issue of stresses. Research proves it, that when couples are stressed, it delays childbirth.
Okay.
So they may go for all the medical checks, everything will be fine, yet they may not be having children. And it is one of the reasons I tell my counselees, it's one of the reasons that if your childbirth delays and eventually you have the firstborn, the second one follows pretty fast. Yes, because you are now relaxed. Your body has now relaxed and is no longer anxious. So the listing, the woman becomes pregnant again.
That's interesting. I haven't tried researching into this, but I suppose you must be right, knowing the kind of experience that you have. But I agree with you on the issue of the stress. That's when you are stressed, because in any case, look, even the children, God, they don't like stress. So why do they see that you are stressed? They should show up. They won't even show up.
Yeah. So if the couple understand these things and know that childlessness is not always a permanent thing, you could be temporarily childless. They are more relaxed, and God being so good, they could also have children.
Okay.
So I'm talking about the mindset that the man should have that will help him to be able to face up to society.
And then the knowledge.
The knowledge.
In there.
And personally, when we got married, we decided that we wouldn't have children for 2 years so that we'll enjoy ourselves. Society was watching.
And they were speaking.
They
They won't let you be. Meanwhile, you have your own plan.
But that's our decision. And because of that, I wasn't bothered what people were thinking, because there was already a decision.
A decision, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the right time, when the 2 years was over, we began to have our children.
Okay.
So the man must be mentally bulletproof, know what he's about, know what marriage is, and just relaxed for things to take their right course naturally.
Interesting. Interesting. Johnny?
So Reverend has, I think, said it at the individual level with a man, but let me also take it from the societal
From the
level.
societal level,
But
yeah.
before that, there is this scenario I usually give to counselees about the importance of marriage, you and your wife. I always tell them, the story that you and your wife will meet, you come together, you will enjoy yourselves. The children will come in, and you spend all the attention on the children, and eventually they will leave you.
And it's the two of you
It is
again.
the two of you. At that point in time when sex is no longer having that appeal, okay, in your old age, what will keep the two of you together? It is the bond. It is the friendship. The children will be somewhere with their lovers. Are you with me? So the marriage is very important. You and your wife is very important. You need to be one. And so marriage can still thrive even in the absence of children. But to come back to the question, I'm taking it from the societal level, and I think that as a society, we need to deconstruct this whole issue of masculinity, to be a man. I think our definition of manhood or manliness is so narrow. And so a man is somebody who is this, who provides, who can perform sexually, who can produce children. A man is somebody who is courageous. A man is somebody who can, keep, pain.
In the end, they tell you a man shouldn't even cry.
A man shouldn't even cry. I think these are too narrow.
Yeah.
They are too narrow. We need to, a man is a human being in the first place.
Yeah.
And I always say, I'm a good Christian. I'm a staunch Methodist. And so I always use Christ, my Lord, as an example. He is the Lord, came down for our sins, yet at some point in time, even Christ himself had to shed tears. He was a human at that point in time. Here's the case: we have men who at some time they need to even open up on certain things, but because a man should not cry, they are unable to. So I think at the societal level, we need to help, change this perception of masculinity, of being a man, limited to these things. And so we find ourselves in marriage where men think that their main role as men, produce the children, put money there, go to work.
Exactly.
You come back, food is ready, children are asleep. What is the essence of having children when you don't have the time to even want to be with them? So a man must be human first. It's very important. And every quality that defines a human must be seen in a man. And so as people, as parents, as societies, as schools, as we are trying to socialize our children, we need to de-emphasize, this issue of, separating men, giving them special, training, child rearing practices, and making them feel so different and superior to women. So let us tackle it from that angle. So as parents, how do you ensure that as the children are growing, they are not going to go up with certain unhealthy ideologies that will eventually, affect their lives? It is this that goes on to the extent that when we even find ourselves in marriage, like Reverend said, we want to have total control of everything.
Yeah.
We don't want our wife to even come in to say anything. What you have said is final. I don't have a child, and it means that I'm not a man. No, life must still go on even without this.
Well, so life must go on without a child. That's obviously the thoughts that Johnny is giving us here. Feel free and start sending us your messages on 020-2222-054, 020-2222-054, and that's our WhatsApp line. Also on all our social media platforms at eTVGhana. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Join us at eTVGhana. So let me find out this, Albright and then Johnny. Naturally, between the man and the woman in the marriage, who feels the pressure more when there's childlessness?
Obviously, is the woman.
Why not the man?
As I said earlier on, is because of misconceptions from the very beginning. Because we are socialized to believe that because it's the woman that becomes pregnant, if there is no pregnancy, then it's the woman's fault. And you see this playing out in many ways. Even when it comes to medical checkup, most men will say, well, the woman should go for the checkup. And it is when the woman goes and nothing is found to be abnormal that the man is pushed to go in for the checkup. So everybody thinks it's the woman that should have children, so that puts a lot of pressure on the woman, much more than the man.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It even goes to the extent where if there is no child in the marriage, a lot of people begin to think that the woman has been promiscuous.
Okay.
Not the man. Yes. That is how far this can affect women when they are not having children. Yes.
Let me just take this from Kofi Moja from Koforidua. Kofi says, man is a social being, but in this case, one needs to be him or herself. Yes, it is not easy, but nobody was born to give birth. Some will and some will not, and it's that simple. So this is coming from Kofi Moja in Koforidua. Kofi, thank you for your message. So the same question to you, Johnny. Naturally, who feels the pressure more, the man or the woman?
In our part of the world, as Reverend said, is the woman. Is the man's world, and therefore all the problems we just lay it on them. In psychology, we call it displacement. We try to displace all our problems on, safer you know, targeted. So women, we have marginalized them for a very long time, and therefore we try to put all the blame on them. So, like Reverend said, childlessness is usually not so visible on men. And men also have various means of masking, you know, childlessness. I mean, a man could, have somebody's child, you know, taking care of him or her. If nobody tells you, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But a woman, everybody must see something about out.
Yeah.
And again, we are also living in a society where we feel, even when we go for marriage ceremonies, I think Reverend has officiated quite a number of that. One of the goodwill gestures that we show during marriage ceremonies is that let us pray for the fruit of the womb. Let us pray for the fruit of the womb. So, right from there, we know that it is the woman's responsibility to just produce a child, forgetting that you need the two of them to, you know, bring the child. And again, like I said, because of these societal expectations, sometimes it's so difficult. It's so difficult for men to just take their neck out there to say, this is what I'm going through. They wouldn't. And so most of the times, women out of love would want to even front for men for this inadequacy. There are several couples who have gone for tests, and it ended up that the man is actually the one carrying the problem. But can you imagine people hearing that this man went for a test and they see he has a problem? It's going to be a big deal. And so usually women are quickly, you know, there to just cover up for us. And so that is why marriage sometimes can be a protective factor for men, in a sense that when a woman leaves, then it creates that doorway for everybody to know really what is happening. And it's also an indication that maybe something is happening. They have married for 5 years, 6 years, nothing is happening. The woman has divorced.
Yeah.
Now you are alone. Okay. The woman who was there fronting for you now has divorced, gone to marry a new husband, and
so let's see your performance with the
you see. And if you are not careful, and the woman marries again, and the woman gets pregnant, then you are in trouble. And so I think that we have used women as safe, you know, target for always pouring our frustrations and our blame on them. But it is not always all the case that we have the thing coming from men. So I think going forward, what you can do is that men, like I said, let us be human first. Let us open up. Let's open up. A lot of women will be able to tell friends, tell pastors what they are going through. But for men, we are unable to even come up to even tell, you know, those who can help us to get help. And so we keep it to ourselves, and it becomes a problem.
Yeah,
you know.
Indeed, it becomes a problem. I'm going to go on our very last break. When I'm back, I'm going to now deal with you one-on-one. And when we come back, there's one thing that begs on my mind. I'd like us to quickly swipe through that before I come to you, which has to do with, can it not be that adoption is a way out when it comes to these things? And so we'll deal with that quickly before I come to Johnny. I'm going to go on this break. Please stay with us. So welcome back. If you are just joining us, we are still in the lounge. We are discussing childlessness in marriage and the effects on the men and then the couple as well. Before we left off, I was asking that couldn't it be that adoption is a way out to childlessness in the marriage?
Yes, it's one of the ways out. And I believe a lot of people are getting to the point where they are taking it in. I had a group last month. I call them the mothers in waiting.
Okay.
They are married women who do not have children, and they've been married between 5 years to about 15 years. Yes. So this is, we call this a therapy group or a therapeutic group.
Okay.
So we work through a number of things and options. And a lot of them have shown interest in adopting. Yes. Okay. So I have helped them to understand it better, the steps they can take with a resource person who has gone through it before. So adoption is a good thing we can do. Of course, there are many children out there that need a home, that need parents. So perhaps this is one of the ways that God is creating an avenue for them to come into a home.
Okay.
It's something we should think of seriously.
Okay. So then we would agree that adoption can be a way out, you know,
Yes.
when it comes to. I have tried adoption anyway. I mean, I only love kids, and I wanted to adopt one some time ago. I'll tell you that story someday.
Wow.
So on this note, I'm going to announce the phone lines, and that is 0555657278. 0555657278. Kindly call. Let's hear you. Let's ask your questions, and then we'll be ready to speak with you. Johnny, I know you have a story when it comes to the issues of childlessness. I want to hear you today.
Yeah, so I think that one of the ways we can help change some of these mindsets about childlessness and as men, how we live, is to disclose. I think we need to have men disclose.
Disclose, yes.
We need to open up, share our story to encourage others.
Exactly.
So, I mean, here was a gentleman who was having a target in life. I wanted to achieve education, get to a certain status before I married. So before I realized I had gone past 30, not even a girlfriend.
Interesting.
And so, at the age of 32, I mean, God helped me, blessed me with a very beautiful wife, and I just thank God for that gift. And so, I think one of the main reasons for marrying at that point in time was to just go start making children. So I mean, with the benefit of the hindsight, I think that I went in there with that mindset that no, I've delayed, so let me quickly, you know. So, well, God had our story, had our prayer, and so I think 2 months after that, there was conception. Unfortunately, we lost it through miscarriage, and after the first miscarriage, I think it took about 1 year. Another conception, we miscarried, and so we miscarried for about 3-4 times.
Wow.
For almost 3 years before eventually we had our first child. But within those periods where we were not having children, Nana, you would have a lot of people supposedly showing concern and telling you one herbalist or the other who is good, one doctor or the other who is good, one pastor or the other who is so the stresses for me were coming from those who I think they had good intentions to want to help, but at some point it was just becoming too much. And so at some point in time I told myself that no, enough is enough. I mean, the directions have become too many, so enough is, let's just wait on the Lord to, you know, glorify himself. And eventually we did that, and I think the last thing that actually decided to, that actually encouraged me to want to wait upon the Lord and just forget about wanting to have a child, is that I went to a gynae with my wife just for the
Johnny, let me hold
routine.
you on this one. Okay, we'll come back to that. There's a caller on the line. Hello, caller, your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, my name is Haruna. I'm calling from Shukura.
Hi, Haruna, let's hear you.
Yeah, and what you are discussing, I go through something like this before.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not easy at all.
I see. I see, Haruna. So how did you deal with it?
Oh no, sometimes how your friends talk, they call you and their family about up to now you are being born, you have to marry, and this thing. It's not easy.
Haruna,
not easy, you know.
we get your point.
The friends, if the friends, they push a lot of pressure on your top.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
All right. Haruna says it's not easy. Haruna, thank you so much for calling us this evening.
We are welcome. We are welcome.
So we went to the guy.
And so I went to a gynae, and immediately I entered the consulting room. I saw pictures of children all over the place. Apparently, these were children that had been that had come through his procedures and all that. And I told myself, no, I wouldn't want my child to be a trophy, somebody's trophy. So no, I told my wife bluntly that we are not coming here again. And we just decided that God, just let have your way. And so I could see that those thoughts were not coming. The focus in wanting to have a child, it certainly went off completely, and we were just enjoying our marriage. And I think at the right time, God, gave us the first.
So how long
child.
did it take?
I think it took roughly, it took 4 years. Yes. And as I sit here now, I say to the glory of the Lord that I have children. I don't want to put a number, but I have children. Even more than I expected.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So I think that we don't have to, be too hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's go see the doctors, get the necessary medication, do what we have to do, and wait upon the Lord. But we must enjoy the marriage.
We must enjoy the marriage.
We
I
must
think,
enjoy the marriage.
I mean, literally
Yes.
or really, I mean,
We must enjoy the
what we
marriage.
gather today is.
Yeah.
So that's I mean, that's a take home. We just
Exactly.
have to. So someone like the gentleman that just called, Harun, he said the name is Haruna. People like him, what should they do? What should he do?
Yeah. Well, maybe Haruna, I think I don't know whether he said he has now gotten it or not.
No, he didn't even say that. But
Exactly. But I think that we also must know the underlying causes of that. There may be biological factors and all that. And so I would advise Haruna to go to the hospital, go and see a specialist to go through the necessary tests. At least the doctors have been well trained. There's advanced technology. They can know what is happening and then put him on some medications, or they can give him some guidance. But whilst doing that, he must also eat well. He must also, you need to also have very good time with your wife before this can come.
Okay.
If you are doing it and you are not having sex, how can?
How can it
Exactly. So
All right,
And
there's another call.
sorry.
Let me finish with that.
Sorry.
So, good evening, Frimpong. Where are you calling from?
Hello, good evening. I'm calling from Santa Maria.
Hi, Frimpong. Let's hear you, please.
I am super excited with your discussion this evening. I mean, you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
And you have two great gentlemen, the Reverend and then the Doctor. These are great resource personalities we need, and these are good examples of men that we need in this country. We cannot solve this issue of childlessness in marriages without the God factor.
Yeah.
And they are, you see the example the doctor just gave, he had to wait on the Lord. And a lot of men in marriages in Ghana does not have the God factor in their marriages.
Yeah.
I mean, your intelligence, your health, your school cannot give you a child, no matter how hard you try. The only solution is God. So if it's not coming, you have to lean on Him. And after the medical, after the prayer, you still have to wait on God for the right time, and no other source for a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bless.
Frimpong, that's very well noted, and thank you for your contribution. You were saying something, Albert.
Yes, to Haruna and other people who are going through these, seeking counseling is also very important. A counselor helps you to put things in perspective. Also helps you to learn how to relax. We call the psychological inoculation.
Okay.
So the pressures could be coming to you, but they will not get at you. And a psychologist or counselor can help you to know what to do in these circumstances. So seeking counseling is also very important.
All right, so seeking counseling is also very important. I want to say a big thank you to Albright and Johnny for coming through the studio. I would have loved that we would talk a little bit about the breast also, but it looks like time is far spent. Why are you laughing? All right, so a very big thank you to Casablanca Lobo Beaters for making this episode also possible. Thank you to Yamvita, who happens to be a brand under Promasidor. Thank you also for making this possible. Next week we'll be back with another exciting episode of the Men's Lounge. But before then, please stay safe. COVID is still in the corner, so let us keep adhering to the safety protocols and then stay safe. It's election time, political season. Let's not make the wrong noises, but make the right noises before we even make the choices. We'll see you next week. Stay safe.